black preachers who are racist in their hearts. They are not called by God, but they've been called by their mama.
The Jesse Lee Peterson Show is the only program in existence which deals straight up with black Americans.
So-called civil rights leaders want them angry, dumbed down, and demoralized.
It's not the leaders that blacks need, but good fathers and mothers.
Welcome to the program. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Jesse Lee Peterson. Today, my guest is Mary Beck. She is the Executive Director of Midland Teen Court. Thank you, Mary, for coming in with me. I appreciate it. Mary, what is Midland Teen Court?
Teen Court's an opportunity for youth to have a Class C misdemeanor dismissed and give them a second chance at a free record if they successfully complete. The youth come before a jury of fellow youth and receive a constructive sentence in terms of hours of community service, evenings to come back and serve as a teen juror, and appropriate educational classes or letters of apology, things that will help them think twice and not repeat the same offense.
Give me examples of a Class C misdemeanor.
Most traffic offenses are Class C misdemeanors. Theft under $50, minor consuming alcohol, minor in possession of alcohol, possession of drug paraphernalia, disorderly conduct, by fighting, by loud music, curfew violations.
And this only applies to teenagers?
By Texas law, it's youth ages 10 to 18 are still enrolled in an accredited high school working for a high school diploma. So some nights we have 10-year-olds and 20-year-olds having cases heard in court.
And they would they come to you? How did you find out about these kids?
They first, when they get a ticket, they have to go to the court of record that controls their ticket, whether it's a municipal court or one of the justice courts. And there they plead either guilty or no contest and request to come to teen court. They pay their court cost at that court, but teen court, upon successful completion, they don't have to pay the fine and they don't have it on their record.
Oh, good. And the court will refer them to you? Is that how they hear about you? Because I'm sure a lot of kids don't know about this program. So would the judge recommend them or the attorney, or how would they find out about you?
Well, our municipal court has information about teen court on the television monitors that roll information when they're out in the lobby waiting to go to the window. I work to get volunteers through the schools, so they hear a lot about it that way.
Okay. The one thing in reading about your program, I noticed that you have a dress code. Tell us about that.
Well, court is a serious spot, and so we try to encourage conservative, neat clothes. No shorts are allowed. I try to do it in a positive manner, and saying wearing long pants or a skirt, and shirts tucked in, and midriff fully covered. It's getting harder to do that and to be positive.
I know. Are the kids cooperative in this program when you ask them to dress in this way?
They know that they don't get in the courtroom otherwise.
Yeah. Are there some that you just don't take because they refuse to follow these rules?
We've never had that problem. Sometimes I have problems with the parents that are there. They say, well, the kids are dressed. I said, but it's still the courtroom and the judge is sitting there.
That's right.
It's just respect for the court.
How many times can they come to you?
They can, if they successfully complete teen court, they can come once every 2 years. Although under Texas Family Code law, they can come again within that 2-year period if it's a different type of violation. So it depends on what law is governing you.
Right. Do you get a lot of kids that are coming in from drinking and driving?
We get very few that are drinking and driving. We get a few driving under the influence. Anything counts as that.
Like marijuana or any type of drugs or anything?
We get a very limited on that because on drugs, unless they're under the influence, it's too great a misdemeanor.
Oh,
because
I see.
drug paraphernalia is a Class C misdemeanor, but possession of marijuana or something, you move up to a B or A or a felony.
Oh, okay. And in that case, someone else has to deal with them.
Right.
How does a case get to and through the Midland Teen Court?
Well, once a youth, say, gets stopped in a car and they find that they've been out drinking, and if it's an alcohol offense, or say if it's even a speeding offense, they go to municipal court, pay their court fees, request referral to teen court, then contact our office where we open a case file, get them on our next available docket. We monitor their case while they do their community service, anywhere from 5 to 50 hours,
Right.
and 1 to 5 evenings of jury duty, and then they have to turn in their proof of their community service to us. We also provide traffic education classes weekly and monthly educational seminars that should be of help to most teens, and those seminars count for 3 hours of community service. And we document all of that. When everything is complete, then we issue a certificate of completion that the youth is responsible to get back to their referring judge.
Is this a national program?
It is pretty much. It
national.
has spread to 48 states and the
Really?
District of Columbia. Only Connecticut and New Jersey don't have active teen courts.
And so, who thought of this? I mean, who idea is this?
Well, you can trace teen courts back even to the early 60s at various spots around the country, but Odessa actually gets the credit for rekindling the flame, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
They opened their teen court in 1984, and Natalie Rothstein, who was their director, put teen court on the map. She worked hard getting it before the American Bar Association and getting movers and shakers behind it, and opened up her courts in Odessa where people could come in, observe it, in some cases film it, and take it back and start locally in their locale.
So, are you, I asked earlier, because you look like a lawyer or something, I know people want to know, are you a lawyer?
No, I'm not.
The people who are involved in this program, Midland Teen Court, are they lawyers or
The
judges or-
the judges are all lawyers,
Oh, okay.
either sitting judges or local attorneys. But the attorneys that are involved in teen court are teens that are volunteers that have been trained. We have a large number of volunteers at court sessions each Monday night. We have, of course, the judge in each courtroom, a monitor, an adult monitor in the jury room, case file, community service, placement counselors for after their cases have been heard, and
Right.
then one of our staff in the courtroom serving as the court clerk. And
So you're constantly looking for volunteers?
oh,
then?
you bet,
You're looking
both
for-
adult and teen.
Oh, okay. And are there special requirements in order to become a volunteer?
Well, for youth, they have to be secondary school students. In other words, out of the 6th grade and through high school and the early years of college. Adults, they have to be able to pass a background check.
Yes, yes. What have you discovered or learned about these children that you didn't know before as a result of working with them? You're surprised. Because you seem like such a nice lady, and these kids are so bad.
These are not bad kids. These are the good kids that you get that have just edged across the line, and this gives them a second chance to make up for it. And basically, you would be so proud to watch the youth in action in the courts and both the teen attorneys and the jurors, because what you and I think is important, deep down, these kids all do too. They really jump on kids that have been speeding in a school zone.
Yes.
They jump on kids if they don't think they're telling the truth during the case. You can always tell that they're at the maximum range, and occasionally they'll ask the judge to go higher.
So is there one thing that you didn't know about kids or what they're into that have surprised you since working with them?
When I started, I still had one of my children at home. So yeah, and I'd been very active. But I've been at teen court in Midland since 1989. And so just seeing the changes in the type of cases and what this world is throwing out at them versus what my children saw and then and what I saw. I mean, it gets harder, I think, every year.
Can you give me an example of that? What is the world throwing out at them that?
Well, I think
Unlike your
there's a
children.
lot more drug abuse than their marijuana use, especially, and crack and things, than was prevalent when my children were in high school.
Do you deal with the parents of these children as well?
Everybody that comes through teen court is required to have a parent with them.
Really? Otherwise, you can't help them because a lot of kids don't have parents.
Well, if they can't, you know, we make exceptions, and if the parent, you know, would lose a job by coming, we just get them to sign and send an adult, either family friend or adult family member.
Okay,
with
so
them.
so the kids who are watching right now and they say, you know, I'd like to do this, but I don't have a parent. I don't have anyone to help me. What would you say to them as far as getting help from your organization?
Call us.
Just call it, and you guys will work it out with them?
We will.
Do they have to pay you, or do the courts pay you?
We're funded local. We're a nonprofit in Midland.
Oh, okay.
And we get money from the city and the county and the school districts and local foundations and corporations, individuals, wherever I can get someone to help us help the children.
Right. You are a nonprofit. That's good. Let me ask you this. There are some kids, I'm sure, that are difficult, right? You've ran into some
Oh, you
difficult
bet.
cases in that they don't want to follow up. They don't want to dress the way you would like for them to dress to go to court. What do you do in those cases?
Well, we have a running battle with shirt tails in.
I bet.
Yeah,
'cause I
we've got
work with
somebody
kids, I know.
standing at the door. Yeah, they have a bed coming in. Did you see them ooching out? And yeah, usually, and if they're misbehaving as they're sitting in the courtroom, we have a bailiff in the courtroom, a sheriff's reserve deputy. And you know, they'll go back and tap them on the shoulder, talk to them. We'll give them a chance, and the second time we'll take up their jury form and ask them to leave, and they get no credit for being there that night.
Oh, good. Oh, good. So you're tough with them if need be.
Right.
Oh, that's good. What type of community service would they have to go through, or would they have to do?
We leave that up to them. It must be for a nonprofit by state law. You know, schools, churches, governmental departments, or nonprofit agencies. And we tell them they must contact them, set up a schedule, and treat it like a job. And, you know, use a good work ethic of being there on time and appropriately dressed by the workplace dress code. And I always tell them, you know, if they do a good job, people will remember them, and they're building their
right.
resume.
That's right. And so they have to carry all these things out themselves. You don't
Right.
do the paperwork for them, or
They turn in the paperwork to me to compile, basically.
That's good. You deal with all races of kids, right?
You bet.
What is the majority race that you work with? I don't know what's in this area. I guess Hispanics are mostly in this area, right?
We get a little bit of everything there is. We're probably a microcosm of the area.
Right.
Especially traffic cases. I mean, yeah, there's, I'd hate to say, because I'm sure we have a large percentage of Hispanic, but we have a large percentage of white, non-Hispanic, and some Orientals and some black. I mean, a little bit of everything.
You have Oriental in this area?
Mm-hmm.
Really? So you have all of them, right? Who is the most difficult to deal with? Let me ask you this, what's the background of these kids? Did you look at their family life? Do you look at, their situation at home, or
we try to do that.
What causes them to do these type things?
Usually, I think just a slip in judgment. Who can say why somebody has a lead foot?
Well, I've noticed
Yeah.
that. I think the reason I'm asking this, and I don't know quite how to ask, is that a lot of kids today don't seem to respect the law. They have no fear of the law
Right.
anymore. When we were growing up,
I do see that.
we had a sense of, there was a tendency,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't, I guess I never really broke the law, but we would break it sometime, but there was respect for the law.
Mm-hmm.
That's no longer there. Am I, for the
It's
most
there
part?
in some, I think it's just like anything else. that which is broken we hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's hard for me to say that from what I see, because teen court's a choice. Yeah. They don't have to do teen court. They can pay the fine or ask for some other type of diversion. So yeah, they've already made that choice that they're going to follow our rules. And yeah, they first look at me as this patsy old lady. Yeah. And then they see I'm not going to put up with a bunch of nonsense either, though.
Yeah, I'm sure, 'cause you seem like a very nice lady. And a lot of kids, they don't respect authority the way we did growing up.
Right.
So they try to run over you sometimes, right?
Well, where it's very obvious sometimes is in the courtroom and their demeanor with the judge, and they quickly learn, although when they're in my office I always say, give them the appropriate way to visit with a judge, and if they get in there with, they uniformly get a lecture.
Right.
And I don't know how much it makes them feel. I'm right beside them almost, next to the judge, and my stomach's clutching at that point.
Do you have to give a testimony there and like say to the judge, we want to work with this one, or do you do like an evaluation on the kids before going to court? No. Well,
I've interviewed all the non-traffic cases and their parents, and we have that, but basically the judge knows we want to work with all of them or they wouldn't be there.
So these cases are young kids who, running a stop sign or running a red light.
Picked up a cassette at Walmart. Or
they did what at Walmart?
Yeah, take a
cassette.
Yeah.
Oh, they steal for Walmart.
Right.
Oh, you deal with that too?
We've got a lot of thefts.
Really?
Probably 58% of our cases are traffic, but the others, theft and chemical, are kind of tied for what see most of the other offenses.
Do you try to get counseling for these kids too? Because I'm sure there's some bad,
We do. We always give them that option and give them names of counseling places where they can even get it for free and count an hour of counseling for an hour of community service.
Oh, good. So they have to give something for it.
Right.
Do they accept that, the counseling?
Some do.
Some do. What are some of the issues that you're running into with these kids? What are their complaints?
Oh, same as you hear every place, not enough time.
From the parents?
No way to get there.
Oh, I see. Are they having a problem at home as well? Like what, for example?
Their parents aren't there when they're there.
You hear that a lot, huh?
Well, not a lot, but we hear it some.
Are these single parent?
We have single parent and dual parent kids.
Can you do most of your cases come from single parents, or?
There are a lot, but I wouldn't say, I don't know, I've never thought about it that way, because we really don't know on the traffic cases, since we don't do the office interviews with them.
Oh, I see. Are you surprised at the number of cases that where the kids are stealing from Walmart or other areas? Are you surprised at that?
Especially when they have the money in their pocket.
Oh, so they can afford it, they're just doing it.
Some can, but still do it, just to see if they can get away with it, or their friends have dared them to, or...
Really? So that's why they're doing it?
Peer pressure counts for a lot.
And do you deal with college kids as well?
Only as in the program, usually only if they've just graduated, if they committed the offense prior to graduation.
From high school. And they've gone on to college and you work with them then. But if they're already in college, you don't.
The Texas law is very specific on who we can hear.
Oh, I see. Are the laws the same all over the country, or
no,
they vary?
They vary state by state, and not all states have legislation specific to teen courts. Oh, I think the last statistic I heard was 25 states have teen court legislation. Texas was, I believe, the first.
Do you have a website that people can go to
We do indeed. www.midlandteencourt.org.
One more time for me.
midlandteencourt.org.
Is there an 800 number?
No, I'm sorry, we don't have an 800 number.
If people are not in the area, can they go to your website and find
an email address and all of our phone numbers and everything? And you'll also find links from ours to the National Youth Court Network, where you can then go and see if there's a youth court in your area.
And most of them have this now.
Many do.
Many do. So was this started because the jails are overly crowded already, or because these offenses are not that seriously?
Well, it was hoped by teen courts that we would cut off offenses at the first time where there would never be a greater one.
And does that work?
All the evaluations that have been done show that it works better than anything else.
Really?
Nothing's 100%. It's kind of like anything. It works for those who want it to work.
And why do you think that this worked better than, I mean, what makes this work better than any other?
Well, don't you think that when your peers tell you that they don't approve of what you do, that makes an impact? And that's what teen courts are about, is a positive peer pressure.
A lot of kids don't like working though, and a part of your program is that they have to do this community service. Are you having a problem with them in that area?
I often hear that from them, but you know, there's all sorts of community service they can do, and I hope always that they'll pick one where they'll discover that volunteer work is very fulfilling and gives them something that makes them feel better about themselves, so that they will continue to do that throughout their lives.
I love that idea. You know, I run a nonprofit organization where we are rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man, and we work with young men, and we try to, you know, they have to do something for it,
right.
You know, because when you don't earn it, you don't value it in the same manner.
You sound like a advertisement for Habitat for Humanity.
That's right. What do you find to be difficult about what you do? What's the most disappointing thing about it?
That there are too many administrative things that get in the way, where not as much time one-on-one with the youth. That's always the most fun part.
The one-on-one. The kids want that too, right? Some of them.
Don't you think so? I
yeah,
do.
Some of them do. Are kids bad nowadays, or is it? Do you find that kids are like bad and out of control nowadays?
I think a very few are, and they give the bad name to a lot.
So you don't think a lot of kids are bad?
No, I think they're all basically good, and some of them have had better guidance than others.
Yeah, I'd say that there's no such thing as a bad child, but bad parents. Am I wrong?
Well, we see a lot of that.
You have to deal with the parents, right?
We do.
And the parents are harder to deal with than the children are at times.
That's true at times.
What do you do about the parents when they are difficult?
Just try to listen, and you know, if they're open to suggestions, give them that, and you know, remind them this is a voluntary program that we're trying to help their child.
So do they think that you're hurting the child?
No, but it's just that we're infringing on the parents' time.
Oh, I see.
Well, I didn't do this, so why am I having to, you know, get off work and come to court, or you know, take them around town to community service? And
that's interesting. They want you to just help them without invading into their time.
right.
So what do you tell
That's
them?
a small minority. That will, it's probably a bigger majority than I know, but that will actually verbalize that to me.
And what would you say to them?
That, you know, this is their time is an investment in their child.
I think that's one of the major issues in society today. Not all, but a lot of parents don't invest in their children. They don't give them that time, that attention. And that is why a lot of you kids are rebelling. They're breaking the laws because they don't feel loved. They feel they need some kind of attention. Are you finding that to be the case?
I think a lot of times misbehavior is a plea for attention.
Yeah.
But you know, when they're saying they don't have time to take them to community service, I always point out, you know, that nearly every place you live, there's a church nearby within walking distance, and I've never seen a church that doesn't need help. They hopefully all go to school, and all the schools have volunteer opportunities, as well as nonprofits are around the city, in every city.
Can you give me some ideas of the type of volunteer? Well, you mentioned church, that the kids can do in this area especially.
We have a single-spaced, two-sided page of places that have requested it, but we have a lot of nonprofits in Midland and Odessa. A a lot of schools, church, and governmental departments. And all of those have, depending on whether it's animal control or working with Christmas in Action or Habitat for Humanity, or dusting the pews at their church, or helping to plant a new flower garden, or what have you.
So the organizations that are listening right now, watching the program, if they want to sign up as
call
one
me.
of the places, you would love that, right?
Yes.
Because you're constantly looking for places that you can send these kids to.
Right.
And do the kids decide, they go down this list, and do they make the decision as to where they'd like to volunteer?
Yes, they do. It's their responsibility to choose their community service, to contact them, to set an appropriate schedule. If there's whose schedules don't mesh, to say thank you and try someplace else.
Right. And then would that organization report back to you once the child is done?
It's the child's responsibility to get it documented and turned into us in writing.
We have about 1 minute left in this program. Again, I want you to give out your website, and if there's a local number or something that people can call you.
Okay. MidlandTeenCourt.org, and our phone number is 432-689-1065. There's also an active teen court in Odessa, and their number is 432-335-3352.
What do you have a primary need right now for your organization?
We can always use volunteer youth and adults and money.
Oh, okay. Because you are a nonprofit.
Right.
Tax deductible organization. Well, Mary, this is very, very interesting, and I really do appreciate you coming on and telling us about it. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. And thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any comments or questions about this show, we're going to put my website and email, phone number, address up so that you can contact me. All right. Thank you. God bless. Welcome to the show. My name is Jesse Lee Peterson. Thank you so much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. I want to say I appreciate your emails, your phone calls, and your letters. Whether you agree with the show or disagree, I love hearing from you. Thank you for that. We're going to put our website and address and phone number and stuff up so you can let us hear from you. Continue to let us hear from you. Thank you. Mary Beck is with me again, a two-part series, and she is the executive director of Midland Teen Court. Very, very important nonprofit organization. So listen closely, get something to write with, because you're going to have to write down some information. Mary, thanks for staying over with us.
Thank you.
For those who are just tuning in for the first time, they missed last week, tell us again about Midland Teen Court.
Midland Teen Court is an alternative system of justice for youth who have committed a Class C misdemeanor, which in Texas includes many traffic offenses and non-traffic offenses like theft under $50, criminal mischief under $50, minor consuming alcohol, minor in possession of alcohol, possession of drug paraphernalia, disorderly conduct by fighting, by loud music, curfew violations, some fireworks violations.
And once they commit these crimes, they go to court, and the court will refer them to you, to your organization. And when they come to you, they have to do what? Be ready for what?
When they come to us, they visit for our staff. They come before a teen jury, part of which are serving as jurors as part of a case that's in teen court, and part of whom are volunteers, in front of one of our state district court judges or county court at law judges, and plead guilty or no contest and accept the constructive sentence of hours of community service, evenings to serve as a teen juror, and appropriate educational classes or letters of apology, anything that would help the youth realize what they've done and see what they can do to repair the harm that has been done.
How many times can they come to you?
If they successfully complete teen court, they can only come once every 2 years.
Oh, once every 2 years. And if they should break a law within that period, what would happen to them?
It depends on the judge what will happen.
Okay. You also, and I'm excited about this, you are a nonprofit organization.
Yes.
And you have a scholarship program. Tell us about that.
Our board of directors raises money to award to graduating seniors who are volunteers and have made an application, and a board committee selects from the applicants. This year we're giving 8 seniors anywhere from $500 to $1,000 to help with their college expenses.
That is great. And do they have to go to school in this area, or this is for any school that
wherever they go in the country. They just have to show us proof of enrollment within the next 6 months. We give them their check now so that they can use it to go to summer orientation or whatever their needs are. And
do you do a background on them to look at their financial situation before awarding these scholarships?
Not really, because we feel like this is showing them that being a volunteer has rewards, and I'm sure we're all human, that our board that looks at it maybe can see that this one may need it more than others, but everybody needs some help, and it's such a morale boost for the kids that might not qualify for scholarships otherwise to get this.
Do you get more males or females through your program?
It's probably 50-50.
Really? Because normally the guys commit, especially moving violations and things like that, guys tend to drive faster than women or drink and drive. Am I wrong about that? I was under that impression.
You may be right, and I haven't looked at the comparison of girls and boys in the program. But I do keep that record, but I never compile those figures.
Right. Mary, what caused you to get involved in this program? What attracted you to it?
Well, I've always worked with youth while my children were growing up, and I'd been on the board of the Junior League of Midland when they voted in Teen Court as a project back in the mid-'80s. And at that time it was a coalition between the city, the county, and the Junior League and the Midland ISD. 3 years later, I was hired in August of '89 as the 4th director, thinking I might do it. The 6 years my daughter was going to be in architecture school at the University of Texas. She was in architecture school 2 years and switched to business school. But this many years later, I'm still there and love it because it's such a wonderful opportunity to see the upcoming generation and the promise that they have, and to give them a chance to get a bad decision off their record that could close doors to their future opportunities.
Have you ever gotten to a point where you would shake your head and say, you know what, I'm going back home, forget this?
Oh, I guess all of us get discouraged every now and then, but not really. I've really enjoyed it, and the different challenges. Every year you've got a different set of laws that you're going under, or the youth are different, and so it's always a new challenge and a fun, rewarding.
Is it more challenging every year, or because each generation seems to be getting worse, or this is about the same as when you started?
I personally think some of the offenses are much more major now. I see a lot more drugs than I did at first.
Right.
The results of either possession of drug paraphernalia or minor consuming alcohol, minor possession of alcohol. I know there's a lot more crack and things like that going on. Those are too major for us to get at Teen Court.
You don't deal with that?
No.
It doesn't matter what age, you don't deal with crack?
Well, by state law, we can only deal with Class C misdemeanors.
Oh, I see, yeah. Have you ever ran into a child that made you so sad for them that you would cry or couldn't believe the situation?
There have been several through the years, that just really tug at your heart, and I've spent a lot of time trying to find the appropriate resources for some of those.
Have you had those kids where you just couldn't help? You seem to have a better impression of kids than I do. I think that not all of course, but most of them are just difficult. And I know it's because of their situation at home, but they seem to be, each generation is just angry, and they're harder to deal with than the prior generation. You seem to have a better attitude toward them than I do.
Well, maybe it's because since Teen Court's a voluntary program, only those who want to have a second chance choose that option.
That's a good point, because you don't force them to do what they have to do. Either they have to want to go through this program to get this stuff cleared up or not.
Right.
Or not. And I know you have a dress code. We talked about that last week. Tell us about the dress code so they can hear that.
A neat conservative attire, long pants, shirt tail tucked in, or a skirt, tummies covered. Of course, no hats are ever allowed in the courtrooms. Electronics must be off.
Yeah. No baggy, saggy pants and all that crap.
We try on that.
They fight you on it?
Well, I mean, that's what they've wore in, telling them to pull it up to their waist and cinch up the belt.
Do they try to play games or manipulate your organization at times?
Oh, I'm sure they do, and we work hard to make them see that we're serious. We try to help them, but they have to help themselves.
I know, tell us about the volunteer program. I know you have adults and young people.
Right.
What age are the young that you're looking for, and what is required to become a volunteer?
Youth, as soon as they finish the 6th grade, are welcome to come to courts on Monday nights. All of our courts are held at the Midland County Courthouse. Check in at 5 p.m. on most Monday evenings, not all, so be sure and check our website to make sure of the dates. Right. We run 12 months a year. Courts, you can count on being there for about 2 hours. We check in at 5. By the time we get all the jury's panels set and do some brief opening remarks, we divide into 2 courtrooms. One that's mainly traffic, and hear 10 to 12 to 14 traffic cases during that court session. We have a local attorney serving as judge and what we call a master jury. That's where, much like a grand jury, the jurors themselves question the youth.
Oh, okay.
In the other courtroom, we have trained volunteer teens that serve as attorneys representing the state and the youth who has a case before the court, and the judge is one of our state district court judges or county court at law judges. In addition to the attorneys and judge and the jurors and teen attorneys, we also have volunteers that help in the jury room as monitors. We have sheriff reserve deputies that give their time serving as bailiffs and providing courthouse security. We have a staff of 6 that are there, 3 of us that are the daytime office staff and 3 others who help us at court, so that we always have one of our court staff inside the courtroom along with the judge and hearing the cases, and personnel in the hallway that we call document clerks, community service, placement advisors to help the youth pick a community service, and we always make them decide that night what they may do. We tell them they're welcome to change, but that all of us procrastinate, and we write down where they've chosen and their phone number where they can the next day go home and call and try to set up their community service.
Do you have to have any legal background in order to be a volunteer, become a volunteer?
Not at all.
Not at all. There's a lot of
We do a little bit of training. The youth who are there serving as jury members, we do a shortened jury training at the start of each court, just telling them what they should be watching for and what they're going to have to do and how they should deliberate. And we've got some rules of deliberation printed on the back of their jury form so they can look at it during that time that we're getting all our juries set.
A lot of parents say that they don't have time to volunteer. If they decide that they want to get involved with Midland Teen Court, how much time should they expect to?
The times that we need them are just during the court sessions, Mondays from 5 until 7. And the more people we have in the courtroom, because depending on the time of year, we range on a court Monday night anywhere from low time, probably 60 youth there, to 170 during some parts of the school year. We run 12 months a year.
I know that you're a volunteer program and your scholarship. Are your scholarship based on how much money the people donate to your organization, or do you go to private foundations? How do you raise the money for the scholarship program?
The scholarship is, we've had a the last several years we've had one board member that sent out letters, and it's mainly to his business contacts, individuals and their corporations. No foundations give to our scholarship. Foundations support our operating.
Okay. Are you funded by the city?
Both the city, the county, Midland and Greenwood school districts, and several local foundations and corporations and individuals and churches help support us.
Oh, good, good. What? How many people do you see per month or per year?
We have just finished the 11th month of our current fiscal year, and we have heard 588 cases so far and had 2,796 youth at court.
Wow.
And we still got all of May to go.
That's a lot. Do you have paid staff?
We do. I'm paid. I'm full-time. I have a full-time administrative assistant and a part-time assistant director. And the three of us work in the office and at court sessions. And then I have 3 paid court staff for the 2 hours on Monday evenings to help us check in the youth, assign them to jury panels, and do the other part of the court procedures.
Are there weekend courts?
No, it's only Monday evening.
Only Monday, just one day?
Just one day.
A week. So that's not a lot then. You know, people want to volunteer.
Right. We're not asking a whole lot of their time. We've had one gentleman who's been a volunteer probably 6 or 7 years now, and he works in the jury room each Monday night. The jury rooms are a fun place to volunteer. It's much like for parents that have driven carpool.
Yes.
You know, once you're in the front seat and you tell the kids hello, they forget you're there, and you learn a whole lot of what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I need to be in the courtrooms and can't be in the jury rooms.
Is this a rewarding program for you?
It really is.
In what way?
Well, you see the children mature into very responsible teens and young adults and older adults. Some of the youth who have come through are practicing attorneys now. Some have run for office elsewhere. A lot are teachers, successful in every walk of life. And I can go into the grocery stores, the Target, Sam's, Walmart, and nearly every time at checkout they'll say, "Oh, aren't you the teen court lady? I did teen court when I was in high school." So it's nice to see that and see the impact and the positive impact that they say it had on them.
Many, I started to say most, but many children or teenagers have lost respect for the law. Have you noticed that?
I've noticed that, but as I said, the ones that I get, probably 95% have that respect, and it's the other 5 that we really try to work with to develop that.
And what caused the 5% to lose respect for the law?
If we knew, wouldn't we all be rich?
When you talk to the 5% parent of these children, are the parents acting like the children about the law? Do they seem to feel the same way?
Sometimes that's true. You know, and some of our youth don't have parents around. You know, they're living with an aunt or a grandmother or a friend.
Would you refer them to a counselor if they need it?
I make suggestions. I don't actually refer them. I'm fortunate right now, my assistant director is a licensed counselor and just retired as a school counselor the end of last May. But she keeps up all of her counseling certifications, so it's kind of nice to have her in the office.
I bet.
But always with our community service options, I always allow youth and encourage them to go to private counseling or some of our local nonprofits that provide counseling and substitute an hour of counseling for an hour of community service. The bottom line is we're trying to restore the youth to make them to be a productive citizen.
Are you allowed to refer them to a Christian counselor, or is that
they're listed?
separated?
I've got them on the list too. Anybody that wants to be on my list, I put. Right,
but you wouldn't be breaking it. You know how they have this thing, separation of church and state and all that kind of crap right now. You wouldn't. Would you be in trouble if you referred them to a Christian counselor?
I don't think so, because I always tell them that and encourage them to do community service for their churches, or if they don't belong to a church, go to the neighborhood church and see if they have something available. So
Even though
So far, my hands haven't been slapped. That's not to say that won't change.
even though, so your organization, Midland Teen Court, is it a private organization or?
It's a private nonprofit.
Oh, okay. So you're not restricted by this church and state issue.
Not really. Otherwise, we're a quasi-legal organization. We're an arm of the court, but not really. We're one of those funny animals. And the Midland School District gives me my office space. So I just try to follow the logical rules,
Yeah.
whatever that may be day to day.
I've noticed that not only, but a lot of blacks and Hispanics children are rebellious against authority. Do you run into that a lot with them?
I run into that some with all races of children. I don't think you can just say black or Hispanic. I think you can say as much Caucasian as the others.
You think so?
It's an individual thing.
Well, I found that most of my troubles come from the blacks and Hispanics, and especially those that only have one parent in the home. Most of the time, a mother. They seem to break these laws, and when it's time to clear it up, whatever it takes to clear it up, they don't really want to, or they seem to have so much anger that they don't really want to. They don't have the energy to even clear it up for themselves.
Well, that happens some. Like right now, as of the end of last month, I've had 67 youth since the 1st of June last year who have failed to complete teen court. Some of those, they never showed up.
Yeah.
And some of them showed up and would do everything except their community service.
Yeah.
Some of them would show up and have their case heard and disappear. They wouldn't do jury duty or community service. And some of them, I think it was just a postponement of paying the fine.
Yes. Mary, I am often shocked or don't understand why a person that you're trying to help clear their own life up to get it going well would reject that.
Don't you think it's the environment that they're in and their peer group that they're in?
I know, but when a person comes to you, they're coming to you as an individual. Their friends most of the time don't even know about it. Why wouldn't they take that opportunity and straighten their own life up?
Well, that's what we always hope for. But I think it's, I see them once in my office on Monday nights. Occasionally, if they come to our monthly educational class or something, they're with their friends and their school environment, home environment all the time. But it just boils down to they have to want to.
When I was growing up, we had peer pressure as well, right? But most children were not so weak that they would give into that pressure. More kids today are doing that, giving into the pressure of their friends and other students around them. Why are they so weak today as opposed to when we were growing up?
Maybe we just see it and we didn't see it when we were that age. But that's kind of the theory behind teen court when it first started, is a positive use of peer pressure.
Yes.
To appear before a jury, your peers, and them let you know that this isn't acceptable to them.
And so you guys talk to these kids and try to encourage them to stand up and do right for themselves, do the right thing. A lot of them listen to that?
I hope so.
What do you do with those kids that don't follow the rule? Do you just forget about them, or?
Well, if they haven't completed teen court within the state allowed 90 days, then I have no choice but to send them back to the judge that referred as a failure to attend teen court.
Okay, and does the judge issue a warrant for them after a while? Or?
If they don't show back up to pay their fine, yes. And then, if the first time the police come across them after they're 17, they could be taken to jail.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's happening sometime too.
Mm-hmm.
We have about 4 minutes left in this program. Is there something you would like to say to the viewing audience out there about your program, and maybe something I'm leaving out today?
Well, mainly I hope none of the youth need it, but if they should get a ticket for a Class C misdemeanor, be sure and ask your judge, whether you're in Midland, Odessa, Los Angeles, or Austin, wherever you are, if teen court's an option, because it'll give you a chance to take responsibility for your actions and to get that offense off your record, because some offenses will affect your choices for school and for occupations and employment.
That's right. It affects when you want to buy car insurance, your insurance goes up, or
I'm told that, you know, even moving into an apartment, they'll check.
Yes, they look at that now. I hear a lot of kids, you know, young adults, they can't get apartments because of their background, and a lot of this stuff is removed. It's not showing there. You also want nonprofit organization to join I guess list their organization with you.
Anybody that is working with a nonprofit, if you have a need for youth volunteers, please contact our office and we will either list your special event and who they should contact for that, or add you to our permanent year-round community service option list. We're always looking for opportunities, especially during the school year, that are outside the normal school hours and on weekends. That's the big challenge. Is a lot of youth are very busy and involved in school activities, and they need to stay involved.
Yes.
And luckily we have some local nonprofits that are active on Saturdays and Sundays, and a lot of special events in Midland for nonprofits. So that's helped that burden during the school year. And, you know, during the summer, there's a lot more flexibility then.
Are there nonprofits that you will not list because they don't meet the requirement or something like that?
There's one, but I'm not going to say it on the air.
Oh. But if they contacted you, would let them know we can't list them?
Well, they already know that they've been cut from our list.
Oh, okay. You know, some nonprofits use kids to paint buildings and help, you know, work on old homes and things like that. Can they sign up as well?
You bet.
Oh, okay.
There's a wide variety, as long as they are a certified 501c3, a governmental department or agency, or a church, then that will count.
In a few minutes that we have left, let us have your website again, so that people can get in touch with you, either to donate their time, money, sign their kids up, or their organization.
Or all the above,
yeah,
I would love.
All of it, that's right.
www.Midland Teen Court, that's MidlandTeenCourt.org.
Mary, do you feel that this is your calling?
It's been a joy. You know, when I looked back and was putting together a resume to apply for it, you know, it kind of looked like if I were trying to pull all the skills together, I had done the right steps in the past.
Yes. Well, the thing I appreciate about you is that, you know, you're married, you raise your children, you make sure that they were out of the home before you left them. And I think that if we had more parents doing that, we would have fewer children having to go through this court program.
Well, that's true, but there's some wonderful kids that come out of two working families. So it just depends on the parenting style and the rules of the parents.
Yes. Again, Mary, I wish you well. Mary Beck is with the Midland Teen Court. I wish you well in your program. And get in touch with Mary. You know, they need some volunteers, they need money, and also your children can get help if they need it in this program. Thank you, Mary, for coming in with us.
Thank you so much, Jesse.
All right. Hi, my name is Jesse Lee Peterson. I host the Jesse Lee Peterson Show here on God's Learning Channel. I'd like to invite you to write me, call me, let me hear from you, email me if you have any questions or concern about what we deal with on the Jesse Lee Peterson Show. We reveal the lies so you can see the truth. We expose the false black leaders. We expose false black preachers. We deal with relationships. We want to set people free here on the Jesse Lee Peterson Show. We're going to put our address up, our phone number and email. So if you'd like to be a guest on the show, if you have some questions about the show, comments about the show, disagree or agree with us, let us hear from you. The Jesse Lee Peterson Show here on God's Learning Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate the letters and phone calls that we have already received. I want to make it clear, I am an American. No African American here. 100% American. Jesse Lee Peterson, thank you.
Order your audio or video copy today from the GLC bookstore. Please include the program number when ordering.